stuff when we actually have conversations. Okay, so just so that we have it for the recorder, the question is, when it's a personal friend or a close personal friend of the CEO, who should be taking that through the sales cycle? Dean and I are of the opinion that there's separation of church and state. If she brings it in, she tees it up for you guys to have those conversations and to truly get to the bottom of, what do you need? Let's find out the actual sales cycle. If you want us to service you, this is the process. And you take them through the process just like you would anybody else. And then bring her in at the back. Now, obviously, she may give them the homeboy hookup. She might be giving them discounts. It's still a friend. But you do want to separate that a little bit so that business is business, friendship is friendship.
I'm sorry, can I just say, what we find though is like they won't respond to us. Like they only respond to her. And I guess they're used to that relationship, right? So then I come in and they're like, oh, I don't know who you are, or I don't trust you as much as her. So it kind of ends up back to Pam, and then we're like, well, that didn't do anything.
Are you CCing Pam in these discussions? You
Yeah,
are. You're still not hearing back?
Yeah, not all the time. I mean, if it comes from her, I mean, there's a really good chance that they will. But if it comes from either of the rest of the team, even if, and I put the CC, I don't even have BCC it, I CC it, and still.
So I've personally run into this a couple of times where, I will lead a horse to water, and then I say, okay, team, you take it. And there is an element where they want to hear from the CEO, and I get that. So what we then start dealing with is setting expectations and setting proper expectations. And Pam needs to be that facilitator where, hey, I really want you to get the best possible return and response. That's why I set you up with Sierra. That's why I set you up with Angela. If you could respond to her and CC me on everything, I'd really appreciate it. And sometimes that's all it takes. Okay. I also would, I would wager that it is time to expand the pool of where people are coming from and where the leads are coming from, because at some point they're going to want to see her. Right. They're going to hear from her. And that's just sort of, it's a dance that you have to kind of get past, but she does have to help facilitate that and say, hey, all of my faith is in Angela. I saw that she emailed you a couple of days ago and we haven't heard back. Would you mind just, CCing her and I on the conversation?
So giving the okay, like giving the permission almost.
Yeah. But also thinking in terms of this, it may not be that they're just waiting for her. It may be that they just got busy and you just need to follow up. Right. Okay. So there's an element of that too, from a sales perspective, where it's constant follow up, and it's, you get on track and you start, I don't want to say being a nag, but you are very good at following up, right? Like you're very good at making sure that you're emailing, calling, constant communication. They get used to hearing from you. Dean, what are your thoughts on that? Oh, you're on mute.
The first thing is not to be on mute. The second thing is, to Alex's point, it's really important to make the delineation or the difference between their personal relationship and their commercial one. And at some point, the person who has that personal relationship needs to make it clear, not necessarily where the boundaries are, but where the information is going to come from. And so if you're taking the lead in terms of the commercial relationship and or the transaction, to Alex's point, the person with the personal relationship needs to step in and assist with that and guide them through that as gently as possible. We do see this a lot, right? Because often, an MSP is built on the relationships of the founders and or the CEOs. And quite often there's family and friends involved in that. And so this topic comes up consistently. And it's, part of the gig essentially is understanding how to commercialize those personal or friends, those relationships. You get essentially better at it the more you do it, the sort of more practice you get, and you sort of get to work out, okay, you take this piece, i.e. the lead of the communication, but make it clear to them, I'm the one supplying this, or I'm the one that's actually working on this deal. So if they're literally non-responsive to you and you need a response to move it forward, it's okay to have the CEO or the other person send that content, but just have them make it clear, this is coming from Angela. It's just that I'm sending the email.
Yep. Absolutely.
So in you're ultimately sort of commercializing those personal relationships, but for them to set the boundaries around how that happens. Because to your point, if they're not communicating, it's just not moving forward. So if you need the person with that personal relationship to do the communication, then they just need to make it clear, this is a commercial piece and it's with Angela.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So which one's next?
Michelle.
Okay.
Kind of the same situation. Colleague friend coming from a group that they've been maybe over 5 years on this group. And this one's a song and dance too.
Okay.
Really likes to hear from Pam, not me, just fine.
Got it.
And
you'll get some of that sometimes. Sometimes there's just not any avoiding it. Like they have their person, that's the person they want to hear from, and it is what it is. It's all of your jobs in the entire company to move business forward. And if like for example, if Nick needs me on a call, I'm on the call. Right. It's part of moving business forward. It's or if Duggan says, hey, I need you to help me with this, this proposal that he's been waiting on me for 2 days. So see, he smiles because it's true. I will be there, but at some point, you're going to have to get her involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
we try to avoid it, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it's me drafting up all the emails and then I go, Pam, copy these over and send them, and that works too. So, Anita.
I had a quick question, if it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you had, with any of these folks, have you had a meeting with Pam and the client? And I mean, obviously, before you go into the meeting, talk with Pam and say, hey, Pam, this is the expectation of the meeting. I need you to do this handoff and say, hey, listen, we're friends and I love you to death. But for the business part, I need Angela to take lead on this. And that's in a sense, empowering you and at the same time, letting, the personal relationship still be there, but separating and say, hey, Angela is going to be the lead on this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important. And I pull back to Alex has had to do that with me on with the client and say, hey, this is Duggan. He's taking charge. You need to communicate through him. And there was a personal relationship there, but there's also, like Alex had mentioned earlier, business is business.
Right.
And if in order to progress, we can either stand by and let it just kind of go by, or we can take charge. So what I tend to do, Angela, and Alex will tell you, I will put a meeting on her calendar very purposefully and say, hey, this is a meeting. And then just to have that, this is what I need to happen. Okay, I got it. So, kind of that forcing function.
Yep. And it's okay to do that too. I bet you, Pam will thank you for doing that, because it's the lower level decisions that she doesn't have the time to be making. Just make it for her.
Mm-hmm.
I say that it's being recorded. She's going to hate me for saying that, but just do it. Right. And she can always decline. She can just decline, but at least that way you get her to the next step. And Brian, I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of these with Kevin too. So I think it matters. And for Stephen, he is the CEO, and so is Lewis. But when he is the one that's doing a lot of these calls and a lot of these next steps, eventually you're going to have the SDR. Eventually you're going to have the person that's helping, and you're going to have to understand when it's time to say, hey, thanks so much for your interest. I'm so glad that you're here. This is the person you deal with.
That helps. No, thank you. It's very good because I'm I'm sure it has happened, but I'm not sure if we're consistent about it. And I think on a few of these, it would definitely make a difference and help. I mean, even if it's, you know what, I can't meet with you and do anything until November, then at least we got something. But a lot of times they just want to, reply back to her or have her text them or call her or whatever. So
Yep.
that'd be good. Yeah, Anita's a tricky one because so it's a family run and she has her sons involved, but I think kind of everyone has their own piece of what's going on, but I'm not sure all the pieces are communicating all together. But it's a family, so we are very careful about kind of how we step and how we move forward and how we respond to basically we were supposed to meet and no one showed up. But we don't want to say that because, of course, it's not only the boss, but it's the mom. And so it's like,
Right.
we have multiple things going on there.
Got it. So who is the decision maker in that?
She's the head. Anita's the boss, the president. And then I believe, I don't know how many sons she has working for her, but I know there's at least a few.
Mhm.
And one was supposed to be in charge of kind of the tech. And I understand. I mean, if he's in charge of tech overall, I'm sure he's fighting fires, everything. But we were sensitive on how we communicate.
So again, let me ask the question, just because she's the boss, is she the decision maker for this particular initiative?
Spicy.
Yes. But she's farming out the learning to the sons.
Okay. So next step then on that piece, do you have buy-in from the sons?
TechSellerate.
Those people.
No.
Okay.
Uh,
So
no.
got it.
Really?
Hey, guys, we're getting a lot of feedback. Could everybody please mute who isn't Angela and myself, and then we can continue to, awesome. All right. I think we may get to a point where we have to sort of automatically mute everybody and then, hand raise and do it that way. So I think the question is really what's the next step for her? Because if she's the one that has to make the decision, and she's the one that ultimately, okay, yeah, you know who you're training and you know who the pieces are, but they really don't, do they have anything to do with the decision? Or I'm getting a smile, so I don't know.
You know what? I to be honest, I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I think it's because she's farming out the to-dos and she wants to know more about it. But I know that she's the final say.
Okay.
And they're not quite as responsive.
Right. Well, there's no sense of urgency from the sons because they're just going about business and she's saying, okay, there's a thing that I have to do and I need them.
Right.
I get it. I wouldn't do, listen, whether they're family or not, if
Yeah.
my CEO isn't signing off on something and it's a thing that we may do one day, I'm not following up on it either. So I think you don't need to necessarily worry so much about what they do and how responsive they are. Keep it, unless she's not responsive because she wants them to pick it up and run with it. Is that the case?
Yes, too.
Yes.
And we don't want to say like, oh, we've set up several meetings, but they just don't show up. I mean, we're trying to say it in a nicer way, but.
So I would encourage you to just tell the facts. So how important is this to you? We've set up a number of meetings. This does not seem like a priority. What would you like to do for next steps?
Okay. So
Dean, what do you think? I like going back.
100%. 100%. If you don't call it and get to the actual core of the problem, you're just going to be spinning your wheels and or becoming sort of meeting cannon fodder. So yeah, you need to understand the level of importance, what is ultimately the buying process, and sort of who owns not just the decision making, but moving it forward on their side.
Yeah. And you're not being rude by saying that. You're simply stating facts. And what we find a lot with sales reps and people that are looking to move business forward, they're so scared of hearing no or stepping on people's toes. Like, you don't want to be rude, right? But it also is not being rude to just say, hey, if this isn't a high level of priority for you, that's fine. We'll just adjust ours, right? It's not being rude. It's just setting the expectation of good conversation. And as soon as we start thinking in terms of this is just a conversation, are we doing business together or not? It takes that uncomfortable, yucky used car salesman idea away, because you're just having a conversation. And it's like, you asked for this. I'm happy to do it, but I need you to play full in.
Okay. And if we don't hear back from all the touches, then we leave it as right now. The email is, we haven't heard back from you. We're here when you need us, reach out to us again. We'll touch back with you, next quarter or whatever. Is that, okay.
We probably would go a little stronger on the breakup email, and we'll send you guys with all of the templates little by little that you guys are getting. You'll get a really solid breakup email, because it really is like, it's like, listen, I've called, I sent, carrier pigeons, there's been smoke signals, like you can have fun with it, right? And you're like, I've done all the things. And if you don't come to the dance with me, that's totally fine. I'm not going to inundate your email anymore or your inbox. You just let me know when you're ready to hear from me. I'll touch base sometime next year. You know, and it's not, you're never going to hear from us, but it's also not I'm going to call you next month because I really miss you. Like, you don't want to be the needy girlfriend. You want to be a little hard to get. Like, that's cool. You said you were interested, but if you're not, that's fine. Bye.
Right. Okay. Cause that's kind of what we have right now, but we were kind of wondering about that too. Okay.
No, you're good. All right.
Okay.
Next.
So then this needs to happen Monday.
When does it need to happen? So that next step needs to be a conversation with Anita to set expectations. So when do you foresee that closing?
I mean, I don't even know if October, according to the last conversation.
So then, to me, is that really at a 50% to close? Because right now it doesn't even feel like it's really, it could go either way. To me, it's feeling like it's more of a 40% of, well, they're qualified to buy, but it's not really a technical win. And they're not saying that they want the buying signals are, yeah, we should do this.
The words are there, but the actions don't match.
Right. So there's no sense of urgency. If there's no, remember when we discussed, and it was very high level, and I know it was at the very beginning. So if you don't remember everything, that's totally fine. So remember when we were talking about getting BANT, and we are going to do something so much further than BANT, but at least it sets the foundations where you get budget, authority, need, timeline. If you have the budget and the authority and the need, and she can't figure out the sense of urgency, then you don't have BANT. And to me, that's not even a full deal. That's going back down to 10%. So if you can't really say it's going to close by December 31st, I don't care when it closes. If we know the timeline, then you have BANT. It could be March, doesn't matter. But if you can't really say she wants it by this date, or we've discussed this date and we're all on the same page, you don't really have BANT, which really isn't even an opportunity. It's a conversation.
She just saw her at a conference, and I thought it was by the end of the year, but I could be wrong. I haven't got a chance to debrief the conference with Pam yet.
Great. So now if we have timeline and she's saying by end of year, then you know that it's, December 31st. And you can put that knowing that that's what's in HubSpot. That's what their conversation was. However, if you go in and you say, remember, we're revisiting it from last week, and we say, okay, you said you needed it by XYZ. What happens if you don't have it? And then you're talking about that sense of urgency, because you did talk about a date. You do have that need and timeline. So that changes the whole conversation and the way you're having that talk. Does that resonate? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next steps on the one that's 100% closed, onboarding. Did you guys do it?
I believe they did yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Moving on. Tom. Talk to you about Tom.
You know what? I'm not working with Tom.
Okay.
I'm not sure about this one.
All right, that's Sierra. She's on vacation. She's not
Yeah.
close. And so question, do you all have clear time frames of when people can go on vacations and when they can't?
I have not been told one.
Okay, so not, don't get freaked out yet, but so inside of our sales organization, we don't take time off at the end of the quarter. Doesn't happen. People don't travel. You can work remote, but it's the end of the quarter. We have things to do. End of the year, again, that sort of last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks, there are certain companies out there that we all have been affiliated with where the last month of the quarter, you don't take off. Obviously, or the last month of the year, obviously with holidays, and this is a smaller business, like a family business, a smaller business, you can give yourself a lot more leeway, but we still have to be achieving based on quarters. So if your counterpart is not going to be there, she needs to update you because you're the one that's there and you have a lot of closing to do between now and the end of the quarter, right? Or the end of the month, however you guys measure that. So just so that you all are communicating, there should never be, if this is a team effort, or Brian, if you are going back and forth with Kevin, or Lewis, if you're tracking month by month where you are, there should never be a time when, ooh, I don't have enough information on this one, because it should be in HubSpot or Go High Level or whatever you're using, or Brian, I know you're using Odoo, all of that should be marked and inside of that pipeline so that you feel comfortable and what the next step is, but also if they're waiting on anything. Because God forbid somebody's waiting to sign on the dotted line and Sierra's on vacation. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm just saying it could, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on to, is it Moret?
Yeah, Moret.
Moret.
Moret. Assessment. And again, I haven't been working
That's okay.
on this with Moret. I believe, again, this is part of their group. I don't know what the last conversation is with Pam.
What I might do, Angela, if I were you, is I would take all of the deals that you're working on and have a separate sheet, and then have all the deals that Pam's working on, have a separate sheet, have all the deals that Sierra's working on, have a separate sheet inside of this workbook, and just duplicate pages, because that way you can speak to them, but you know what you're owning. And then you can also track, because then I get lots of data. I can say, okay, who's working on this one? Whose sheet is that one? And it gets way more powerful and real good about conversions.
Okay.
And Dean, you have like 5 more minutes, so I wanna shut up and let you run the last 3 lines here, or the last 1 line. Let's see how far we get in 5 minutes, so that we get another impression here.
Cool. Yeah, my thing, Angela, would be bringing it back to those fundamentals that Alex is sort of sharing on each of these. Essentially getting some discipline around BANT, or budget, authority, need, and timing. And when you sort of are missing, 1, 2, or potentially 3 of those, you don't really have a solid probability for it to close. But then also just documenting what these hurdles are by opportunity, and potentially even just socializing that internally. We're absolutely here to help, but bringing some of the others in your team on the same journey and them sort of buying into the issues that are being created internally will absolutely help you get some momentum around some of this stuff, right? And some sort of, I wouldn't say confidence, but some more, momentum around these. I think you've got some knowledge here and or some sort of experience that you sort of just need some confidence to apply to the rest of them, or sort of give them a bit of a logic test from your own perspective.
Sounds good.
But looking forward to doing more. Like, the more you do this, it's a skill, and the more you do it, the more that gets developed, and so it's sort of the better it gets, right?
Yep. Thank you.
Lewis, I was just going to say a quick hello. I know I briefly got the opportunity to listen in on a call you were on yesterday from memory. looking forward to doing more with you as well. And Brian, looking forward to sort of fleshing out some of the hurdles and or sort of challenges you're going to come across in terms of what are they, downsizing the client size, but sort of changing the focus. And some of what Angela was sharing are, exact issues, right? That there's personal relationships involved as opposed to, purely commercial ones. There's not necessarily a buying process with a small client. And yet you're looking to apply your selling process. So how do you get that to align and also provide them with some structure around their buying piece? So looking forward to doing more around that with you as well as we go forward. Sorry for needing to hop off, but yeah, looking forward to doing more with each of you. It'll be very cool.
You're allowed. It's like 4 a.m. over there.
No, are you kidding? It's nearly 7.
Ooh, right. He's already
The
had
sun's
chance to go to
up.
the gym.
I need to add a
Wait,
background.
Dean, is that a hammock outside your window?
It is, and that's why I was about to say I need to add a background for Zoom. We don't often use Zoom, and because otherwise, yeah, people are like, "What, are you living in a resort?" And I pretty much do, but yeah, I don't need everyone to see that.
I feel like you do.
Yeah, I do.
All right, Dean, thanks so much.
All right, guys. Have
Thank
a good
you.
afternoon. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
All
Nice
right,
meeting you.
let's
Cheers, bye.
do another one. Let's get Lewis. How you feeling?
I'm feeling like who needs a hammock when there's a perfectly good floor beneath your feet?
Listen, sir, I think you are deflecting and it is time to share your pipeline.
Well, yeah, okay. All right, so let me see. I don't actually have it in the template.
That's okay.
Yeah, let's see if, well, now you can see my utter chaos here. Where is it? Let's do this. Let's go. Hang on. All right, so I took your advice and went through and stripped out anybody with like a Gmail, Yahoo, SBC.
Oh, wow, you were busy.
Yeah, but it ended up like between the people that I've pulled out of the general contractors list in Boise and a couple of BNI people, and then my my QuickBooks, active clients. So I've got 40 records here. And none of these I would say are prospect like for the cloud services.
Okay.
I actually want to go through my mailing list that I've got for the Courage Run, where I've got 1,500 people, and do the same thing of stripping out all the Gmail people, just get business domains and send a notice to those people that, hey, in case you didn't know, we're an MSP. We do, we provide you with whatever you need, wherever you go, and whichever device you need. So get that going. Get more BNI people. I've been to 3 BNI meetings up here in the last week.
All
I got
different ones?
What was that?
All different organizations? Like all of the different BNIs or all one chapter?
No, I visited 3 chapters. There's actually 13 chapters in Boise.
Wow.
I'm going to a 4th one next week. I'm gonna order a business card scanner, like you said to do.
Or you can use the one on your iPhone. There's free apps for it too. You don't actually have to buy anything. So there's Genius Scan, there's a couple other ones that you can use. So it's up to you. I like the scanner because it just automatically goes into a CSV and it just links up to it, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah, so I'm being pulled in 6 different directions. So like having whatever I can do to make it easier, I'm gonna do it.
Yep.
So there's that. I've actually got one-to-one meetings. Like after I get done here, I'm going downtown to meet with a company that's hopefully gonna get me some boots on the ground here in Boise.
Mhm.
And then I'm meeting people. So one guy I met in the BNI yesterday, his girlfriend's company is in the middle of some weird Microsoft issue where they can't do email all of a sudden, and Microsoft is telling him it's going to be 2 weeks to resolve it. So I'm going to be talking to them. But I mean, it's kind of loosey goosey by the Alex Corson standards.
It's okay. Listen, you got to start somewhere and you're restarting. So everyone gets where you are. And the fact that you've done this much in 2 days, I'm pretty impressed. So from a pipeline perspective, I would challenge you to use our template for all of the real opportunities. So for example, when you meet this guy who has this connection that's having these Microsoft problems, have that first meeting, put that inside of your CRM, which is right here. Put her contact information in there, set up the meeting, and create just the next step and a task with that meeting right there. Once that happens, if you've had the meeting and she says, absolutely, I need this, I need to be protected if something's going wrong. That's when you move that piece to an opportunity inside your CRM and add it to your spreadsheet. That's all. It's just, you're just at top of funnel right now. So you're right where you need to be, and you made a lot of progress in 2 days. So, I mean, if everybody was here, everybody would be giving you a round of applause because you're making the progress that you need to be making. It's just that we need you to be tracking it. See, Angela's doing it. And so we need you to be tracking the progress and documenting everything, because if you don't document, you're not going to remember everything. I don't remember everything. I'm a hot mess. I make 17 mistakes by the time it's 9:30 in the morning. I have to have things documented, and I have to have tasks assigned to me so that nothing slips through the cracks. That's all we're trying to do, is really just get that system in place.
Okay, so I'll be putting that into the pipeline, and then, but it sounds like there's also a pipeline within high level.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure that out.
So let's walk it through, because this is the same thing you should be doing on Odoo. This is the same thing you should be doing on HubSpot. This is the same thing you should be doing on Go High Level, Glass Hive, any of the CRM, Salesforce, anything that you do. So do you have the woman's contact information?
Not yet.
Okay. Do you have the gentleman's contact information?
I'm sure it's on the business card in my pocket.
Okay, so do me a favor. What we want to do is we want to go to contacts over on the left, which you're already there. So then you're going to hit plus, which is just add a new contact. And you're going to put his information in. So I'm not going to make you do that right now. Nobody needs to see his phone number, anything like that. But let's go ahead and scroll all the way down and hit save. Let's see if it lets you save it without putting all the other stuff in. Perfect, it does. Okay, so say you put all of that stuff in. Now you haven't done it yet, but we'll just pretend. So what we want to do is we want to start a conversation, and we want to, so you want to assign a task to yourself. If you had another person on your team, you could assign it to somebody else, but right now you're just assigning it to yourself. And that first reach out is going to be an email that says, really nice meeting you. I know you mentioned that your girlfriend's having some issues, and I'd love to set up a meeting. It can be really time consuming doing what she's doing the way she's doing it. can you share your information or her information with me, or could you set up a warm email invitation?
Oh, you know what? We did set up a meeting. And it was so the way that we did that, we set up a 1-to-1, and then I asked, or are you gonna bring will you bring your girlfriend? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll bring her. I said, okay, great, I'll bring my wife. We'll have a double 1-to-1.
Perfect.
I mean, whatever I said, but yes. So we have a meeting set up. It's in my calendar. I think it's next week.
Okay. So do me this favor.
Yes.
When we're off this call, I want you to fill out everything here. And then I still want you to send him a thank you email from your domain inside of your CRM. Because again, you're about to do something that Pam was doing, and it's making, and I absolutely love that you're getting to know them on a friendly level, but there has to be separation of church and state, because when you come through in a professional manner saying it was great to connect, looking forward to connecting and seeing how we can help each other both professionally and personally, now you've got a little bit of separation, right? So
Right.
even though you're the same person and you're connecting them with them as a friend, which not many people can do on a first meeting, and get a meeting and do a double date with his girlfriend and your wife, and like, I mean, that is actually probably really good soft sales skills that everybody here should know. But
Yeah.
it is a dangerous one to go down, because sometimes you become friends and nothing happens, which is great. Sometimes you make amazing friends. That's literally how I made one of my absolute best friends. She was a prospect that a CEO wanted me to go after, and I went after her, and I saw that there was no business that was going to be happening there, but she was just really cool, and I wanted to get to know her better. So that was fine, right? But you have to at least have that separation so that you can pivot, and it's not out of the blue should the opportunity arise.
Right.
Does that make me sound disingenuous? I mean, like, because you went to the meeting for a specific reason, and if you get a friend out of it, amazing, but you also want to see it through to the end.
I'm looking through the cards. I do not have his card.
But it's on your calendar, right? So maybe his information is there.
It may be.
All right. So, all right, then we're going to go ahead and pivot a little bit, because we only have 10 more minutes, and I want to make sure that we are going over everything that we need to go over. But does that clarify what needs to happen inside of your CRM?
It does. No, that's helpful.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'll let you stop sharing, and then we're going to discuss a little bit more about how to get to that next stage in the conversation. I kind of want to just revisit Bant. And I know that sounds a little potentially pedantic to Brian, because you are so used to the larger enterprise deals. And it's a different conversation, right? Like, so when you're talking enterprise, so now I have coached and helped on all sorts of different sales sizes, teams, and where people are focusing. When we're talking government contractors, we're talking understanding the buying cycles. It's not that different. Hi, he's there. It's not that different of the conversation at the very beginning. However, this is a much more friendly approach, as I think you are probably starting to pick up on.
Yeah.
It's much more on the personal. It's much more on the how can we grow together. It's much more on the how can I add value to you, whether it's through this or not. And that's really the art inside of the channel and inside of selling as an MSP. And it's having that conversation from a how can we have a business conversation and how can I provide value to you. So I just want to take 5 minutes and get your insight, because it's a very different conversation than what you were used to having up until this point. And even when you're talking enterprises, most of the time you were at least purchasing things through channel, which was a different type of channel, and it was very distribution model and very this is how we have to purchase things, and having those conversations. So talk to us about that a little bit, and we can scale it to where you're having the conversations now, and I think it will end up helping you move forward faster.
Okay, real quick, Alex, that Excel sheet that we saw earlier, could I get a copy of that? Is that something that you sent out, or is that something that she
It is,
created?
yeah. So it's actually in the conversation where it has the link to the Google Drive inside of the reminder emails. But I will
Okay.
also have Rachel send that out along with your personal invitation to the platform, and Angela, yours as well. So and Nick, I'll get you as an admin. I don't know why you're a contributor.
So so
I think Rachel may have already sent his invitation to join the platform. The Excel version is in the platform, and if you want, I don't know if you want the Google Sheets version. There's a Google Sheets and an Excel version.
So the
Okay,
Excel
whatever you
version needs
prefer.
to be in the Google Drive. If you could add that to the Google Drive, and then why don't we just send the Google Drive link right here in the chat? Could you do that while we discuss?
I can try.
Thank you. All right, Brian, go ahead.
yeah, so it's a really different conversation. I sat down with Kevin a lot today to go over his client list for the first time. Now that I've started getting all the equipment set up and the process set up, the next stage is obviously now start getting into the soup to nuts sales. So he's got a couple of people right now that he's going to transfer to me where I think it's stalled. So he said he's like, okay, like this guy is supposed to get back to me tomorrow. I'm just learning about that today. So I'm like, well, tell me more about this guy. So I left him a phone message saying, hey, my name is Brian Woody. I'm working with Kevin. I would love to discuss. And then I shot him a follow-up email as well. And I shot him a LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm in charge of the sales here at this place. So three boom, boom, booms, because Kevin was like, well, he was supposed to get back to me by tomorrow. Like, okay. So a lot of the people that he deals with, though, like you said, it's smaller businesses. Like right now, he's working on another quote with a lady who, there's just 9 of them, and so so he's working on the quote, and then he's like, and then Brian, you go sell it. so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So yeah, it's interesting. It's different from, I'm used to going through IT directors and a long process and all, but I like this. This is, to me, this is a better sales type. I think it's more exciting to actually move to this level, which is a more personal level. It's they have a greater need. So I'm kind of,
Yes, they definitely have a greater need. The other thing that I don't want you forgetting your basics of your sales tactics that you used on the enterprise side, though, because a lot of it translates really well. The only thing I would say is the process that you used on the enterprise side, when there was some sort of a call to action and some sort of a funnel that you put them through, I think you're very naturally going to lean into that, which is great, because specifically for CMMC and certification processing, it's almost like a readiness assessment that they need. You need to have that conversation of, why is this important to you and what's going to happen? Again, it goes right back to the pipeline. It's what's going to happen if you don't do this. And so it's that conversation that you were having with the IT director. That's what you're having with the CEO or the president of the 9-person company. But you just have to do it from it's not a department focus. It is now a business discussion of how is this going to impact the bottom line for your business, which that's the twist, right? Because everything for these business owners, small, medium, large, it's all bottom line for them. They're making life decisions based on it. So
yeah, I'm excited about this journey because it's definitely different. And and that's why I like this processes that you're showing us, so that I can try to follow your processes and see how it works with this business segment. So
yeah, I don't think it's going to be much different than what you've done before, but at least, like I said, if you can take little tweaks and help get you there that much faster, I think that it'll make an impact for sure.
okay.
All right, cool. So guys, we have 3 minutes left. If you look on the chat, Nick just posted the Google Drive link so that you guys can grab it. Do me a favor, because again, this is beta. You guys are going to have access. Sorry, you guys are going to have access to this drive. Nobody else is going to have access to this drive, because little by little things are going to be added into the platform. So because you have access to this drive, please don't edit the files there, just make copies and then save them on your own drives, your SharePoints or your Google Drives. That being said, with 3 minutes that we have left, who has a question or any sort of burning desire to get through something that will help them move business forward?
Well, I don't want to monopolize your time, Alex, but real quick,
Yeah.
this one guy that Kevin kind of threw onto my plate. So apparently Kevin's already sent him a quote. Okay. The guy said that he was going to make his decision by tomorrow. Like I said, I'm just finding out today. So that's why I sent them all 3 of these communications.
Yep.
But I haven't heard back from him. So what would, and then Kevin's like, I don't want you to bother him too much. And I said, well, you told me that he's making this decision tomorrow, and I've reached out in all 3 channels, phone, email, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Do you think it's too much to reach back out again tomorrow? I think Kevin was a little afraid for me to do that, but
No, not at all. It's not too much. The issue that I think he's going to run into is Kevin is notorious for this, and I have called him out on this. So Kevin does not spend enough time with the people ahead of time. There's not enough,
right.
There's not enough relationship building, and it ends up here. Let me just send you a quote. This is what you need. Go. So I think he may surprise us. He may come back and say, yep, I'm ready to go. But I don't think that that's what's going to end up happening.
I don't think so either.
I think what you need to do is you need to say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you were interested in this.
Yeah.
And then I think you need to reestablish BANT and then go to the next, take him through the process, as opposed to just saying, yep, you need it. Here's what you do. You need to reestablish why it's important. And now I could be totally wrong. By tomorrow, if he says yes and signs off, it's going to be the first easy sale you got. Let's
it
go.
Will be.
Yeah, that'll be great. But my gut is telling me that it probably isn't, and he's going to let you know. And if he says no, it's because the sense of urgency and the need wasn't established at the beginning. And so
the relationship.
And the relationship.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to go back and say, oh my gosh, I saw that you had this already. Did we walk you through this? Let me walk you through this and what your expectations are going to be.
Okay. Okay.
I think you're going to get.
Yeah.
Lewis, what you got?
So I actually was able to track down Nick's information through BNI Connect, and yay!
Right.
And I see
You're
that
nothing if not resourceful.
yeah, I am pretty much
Angela.
but and I see that within Go High Level there is the option to either send an SMS or an email.
Yep. Email.
Okay. By the way, something that I learned up here in Boise is that all the BNI people are really big on texting, like introductions to each other. It's
oh yeah, that's not just Boise. That's outside of California. It's everyone. Everyone does these little text. I get to tease Lewis because he just moved out of California. He's one of the immigrants out. So no, it's pretty common practice anymore to do a group SMS.
Yeah.
We use the CRMs to do those group introductions. If you want to do that from your personal phone. The SMS conversations from your CRMs, whether it's Odoo, Go High Level, HubSpot, whatever you're using, we want to have that capability, but that's going to be updates. Join us at this thing, come to the dinner, or hey, we're having a server upgrade, those types of conversations to the direct CEO where you want their attention so that they don't start looking at you as spam.
Got it. And obviously I just started using Go High Level thanks to your recommendation. it doesn't sync up with Microsoft 365. Is that something that I should be
So it actually does,
Okay.
and I can offline that, because you just have to put in your domain, and then it will link up to your Microsoft credentials, and then you can email directly out of Go High Level as using that as your, what is it, your email application for sales. I'll keep it.
Oh, and that's somewhere in the settings?
Mhm.
Ah, okay.
Yep, that one's an easy one. All right, guys, that's our time. So I will let you guys go. I will see you here, same bat time, same bat place on Monday. But that just let us know in the chat. Make sure tomorrow, if you are not in that platform, you get with Nick, myself, Rachel. You should have all of our contact information at this point. If not, we will send that out as well. But get that in there, because we need to be able to go back and forth and answer questions on the fly. So I want to make sure everybody's on that platform. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Have a good
Thanks,
Friday.
Alex.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
thank
all.
you.